Singing.
Let's speak out.
Long talk.
Long talk.
No, we could just hum the
There. She really blossoms in front of the camera.
That's our Linda for you.
Sides of her I've never seen.
Well, I'll just start. I mean, I don't remember much. Joe, you remember a lot more than I do, but I do remember that we were both composers at that time. And, I think didn't we put on a concert together first before, no,
I
we didn't.
wonder. I don't.
I think we did. I think we put
That's
on
interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, but in any case, we were both aware that there were very few. There was actually only one performing ensemble that regularly did contemporary music in Philadelphia, right?
Right.
So we just wanted, we wanted to provide opportunities for ourselves, but also for other composers.
Yeah, I mean, I had done my undergraduate in Minneapolis, and there was a group called the Minnesota Composers Forum that had been created by two of the doctoral students because there were a dearth of opportunities for young composers. And I thought that was really great. So when I got done with my studies in New Haven at Yale, then I moved to Philadelphia. I had thought, I want to do something like that. Someone told me about you. And they said, there's this woman named Linda Reichert who's also been trying to do this kind of thing. And somehow, and I can't remember who it was. I wonder if it would have been Aaron Curtis or someone like that who's from Philly originally. But
I don't remember.
So someone gave me your number. And I think I called you, or someone gave you my number. Anyway, we got in touch with each other, and we had been trying to. And you were already trying to figure out. I think you had already put on a couple of concerts.
Yes. So you were not involved with the pre-network concerts.
Yeah, I think
okay,
not.
Yes. Yeah, we put we put on a few concerts with, I think the first concert was with like Tina Davidson and
oh, she was part of Relage.
She was with Relage and the Davidson from Haverford.
Haverford. That's what I was trying to remember.
In any case, we wound up living on the same street.
Yeah, I remember calling you, and we both got together, and I think we met at the Germantown Cheese Shop.
Yes.
Do you remember that? There was this little mall,
sure.
little funky mall.
It was called Maplewood Mall.
Maplewood Mall. Yeah. So, but where was our first concert? Do you remember the Painted Bride? Is that still there?
Of course. No, we were at the Painted Bride for a lot because, Jerry Givnish, who also was a Germantown resident and still is, as far as I know. I mean, he's still alive.
Okay, that was a name that came. I remembered his name. It's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Very, very active in the community with environmental, social justice, and Which Painted Bride were you at? Where were we at? We were at the one.
Well, the original one was when we first got started. They had the original one. It was in this original location,
South Street.
And then they had Jerry Givnish, who was this sort of he was like a hippie from the hippie generation, but older than us. Like we were on the young side of it. But he was a lovely person and really dedicated to doing something for the arts. And he had got scrapped together. It was do you remember the original one? It was just like they had gotten an abandoned building or something and trying to put it together.
Well, there were at least 3 Painted Bride iterations. And the one that we were at, I think, was the last one, which was, in Old City and with the beautiful glass work on the front by Isaiah Zagar. So I think that's where we did one of our first concerts.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Jerry got a bunch of money somehow, and they built this thing, I think, right? I mean, it was really a beautiful place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember that transition to that. And that might have been our first concert. He was very open to doing kind of whatever and letting us do it for nothing. I think he didn't charge us anything.
Just straighten it out, straight. Okay, Manfred, lie down.
So we've just invited Manfred Fishbeck to join us for some light fare.
Manfred does his best thinking in this position. I will simply pluck one. One more?
Thank you.
We just needed to get that on film. Okay, that's enough.
At that time, we were a membership organization. Because we were
Yes.
thinking,
Oh, I
what
know.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Can you,
important
I
for
want
you
to
to
hear
know,
about that.
Nicole.
Yeah, I want to hear about that
Yeah,
part of
we
it. Finish
started.
this story, but yeah.
Yeah.
well, it has to do with that because we thought, the Minnesota Composers Forum, which was like this model that I had experienced in Minneapolis, was a membership organization. And I thought that, well, that makes sense. So let's put on a concert series and we can have membership. We can charge a little bit of money for people to belong. That gives us a little bit of cash income. And then we can invite the members to have the exclusive opportunity to submit works that we would consider for programming. So, and so we did that, and it was before the internet. I don't know how we did anything before the internet, but it
It
was
just
like,
was slower. That's all. Things happen slow in a slower way.
I guess so. But
Yeah,
how
but
did we
that,
get
but
yeah.
we did that also because we didn't have any money, and that was a way to get cash.
But I thought it was great that you were feeding him, the artistic director. It was like feeding him, the
That's right.
fuel.
Yes, I wish I could feed him more money.
Well, I was kind of thinking
Yeah, we
that
should put
too.
dollar bills.
Yeah, that's right.
That would be really good. And that was great.
Any other
So-
stories that you want to share with our remaining time, or?
Well, I just did want to mention Phil
Yeah.
Rosen.
Yes, exactly. Good.
He was, I think, thank you for reminding me. I guess he was one of my piano students, but he also was a mallet player. And
Oh.
he had a background in, it might have been finances, accounting, or something, or he might have also been an attorney. But he was very helpful in helping us put together our bylaws and, get all the articles of incorporation together. He really
Yeah.
did all that for us.
Well, because we were two spaced out artists in some,
Oh,
and
we
we
had
were
no
both.
idea. But there were these
We're no
requirements
business
for a
sense at all.
501c3. Yeah. So thank you, Phil.
Yes, thank you, Phil. No, I remember him. He we going. We need somebody who understands how to do numbers.
Yeah.
And we brought him in. I think he was. I thought him an accountant, maybe, but I don't know. But yeah, he was going. Okay, you need a marketing plan. You need a 5-year plan. You need to think
Right.
about. You need a logo. You need an official logo and all this
Right.
stuff. And he
Right.
helped us put and wade through the complexity of putting together a 501c3 or all that stuff. And
Right.
he did that for us. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, so you went from you need a 5-year plan to here we are now, and it's grown to 40 years.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cool.
Really cool. That's really cool. Do you get a sense of anything that you've maybe like learned about yourselves through the experience of creating Network? Did it teach you anything about just like who you are?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, well, so, well, I mean, speaking for me, so I remember, Linda, remember you and I went to Harrisburg because we thought we got to get some grant money. And we made an arrangement to meet the woman who was head of the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts. So she could tell it. She agreed to meet us. And we went there, we met with her. And she said, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a composer and I want to run Network for New Music. And she said, well, you can't really do a good job running a nonprofit organization while you're trying to do something else. And you should probably think about that. Either you need to be focusing on your life as a composer, or you need to focus on running Network for New Music, which led me to gradually come to the conclusion that, yeah, maybe I do need to try to get my composition career going, whatever that's going to be, and focus more on that. And so that was about 5 years in, and that's when I withdrew. But then I moved out to Portland. And after about several years, I thought, I really miss it. And I mean, I need to do this. I mean, it's kind of who I am. It's sort of a thankless task in some ways, and most people don't want to do it. But a few people have it in them to be those kind of people that kind of want to gather stuff and make stuff happen and pull things out. And Linda, you're like that, and I'm like that. And I think that's why we got together. So in 1998, I started in another nonprofit arts presenting organization called NWEMO, New West Electronic Arts and Music Organism, and and so I've been doing that now since 1998. So this is like our, what is that, 27 years or something coming up. But yeah, so I think that's one thing I learned. I mean, it made me question that whole thing and then kind of come back to it. I don't know. What about you? You did it. You stuck with it for how long? 30 years?
I
Something
stuck
like
with
that.
it just because it was just really kind of like brailing forward, just sort of, going by instinct and intuition. But the reason I stuck with it was the people involved, the composers and the musicians, and, what an honor it was to be part of putting something together that brings together composers, musicians, audience members. It was for all of those years just a great joy to create that kind of community.